Alright, so today we're talking about KaguraBachi. And alright, I won't bore you with a long intro, but I do want to say thank you to everyone that supported my channel and my last video. A couple of months ago I said that my next goal was to have a video break 5,000 views, and here we are. 2 months later and my last video shattered that. If you find yourself enjoying this video, please hit the subscribe button, drop a like, all that good stuff, and I'm going to start doing something new. Something my boy shonen does. If you drop a comment, I'll pick my favorite after a few days and post it in my community section as comments of the week. Alright, that's enough for the intro. Now let's talk KaguraBachi. So, I've got to come clean and admit it, guys. KaguraBachi is in fact growing on me. Now don't take that as a statement as me saying that I was previously a hater. That's not the case, but for me personally, I always thought that it was just fine and wasn't really doing much to move the needle. But I think that's beginning to change. No, this isn't me saying it's safe or that I think it will or won't get axed, but this video is about me just giving my thoughts on the developments it's had over the past few weeks. So yeah, before making this, I did do a complete reread of the series, and I know, ooh, he reread 14 chapters, yeah. So what, I wanted to have a fresh mind with this stuff, and I'll say KaguraBachi, even without all the memes that have thankfully died down, is actually a series that's worth keeping around in Shonen Jump. You don't have to take this as a message to run for the hills and read it now, but I'd be happy if it didn't get the axe and got to continue cooking, especially since so many other titles are drawing close to their conclusions. In this video, I'll just talk about some things I noticed on the reread, some stuff I enjoyed about the series, things I maybe didn't care for, and where I think the potential lies. I guess I'll start with the power system, but in between that I'll also talk about characters and my thoughts on them. So the focus is on these sorcerers, and their power system is one similar to most, where it's like spiritual energy that exists within each sorcerer, and many people are able to harness that energy themselves and use it to perform special abilities such as teleportation or creating explosive doll things or reshaping the earth beneath them, but it gets much deeper when you add these swords into the mix. The main character, Chihiro, is the son of a famous blacksmith who created these enchanted blades that he then gave to his allies' side during a war that was easily won with the help of these 6 swords. They all have special abilities tied to them, and they take that spiritual energy I was talking about before and channel it into even more special abilities. So far, we have only seen 2 swords, the one that the main character possesses, which I believe is called N10. With it, it has 3 abilities so far, one being Kuro, or black, which allows him to fire off a long-range slashing attack. You usually see a lot of black goldfish swarming around when this is about to happen. Another ability is red, which is like an absorbing or reflecting ability. We see Chihiro use this ability to basically eat an attack that's sent towards him and dish it back out to kind of neutralize the attack. He does it to stop an explosion by the Dorama guy he fights around chapter 3, and then again to neutralize a lightning attack that would have caused mass deaths in civilians if he hadn't used himself as a lightning rod. There's also Nishiki, which I'm not completely sold on because he says it works like a form of cloaking, enhancing his attack and defense, but it seems like it also enhances his speed. I'm pretty sure when Chihiro turns into like a black streak, this is what he's doing, and his 3rd goldfish is usually present for this, the spotted one. That's the basic gist of the power system. There's another sword that I'll go over in a little bit, but for now it seems like all the major players operate within this power system and are able to use their spirit energy to do spells, and then adding swords creates another layer to that. So far, we don't know if sorcerers that have swords can do other things. Like, we haven't seen Chihiro do anything else other than what his sword can do, but anyway. So far, the characters are interesting, and we've met quite a few of them. I still wish Chihiro would show a little more emotion, but he's making up for it in other ways, so I won't hold that against him. At first, he came off as an overly edgy guy, and I didn't care for that at first, but, you know, he really just wants to reclaim the blades that were stolen after the Yakuza killed his father and took them all. He's got a soft spot for another character named Char, and for good reason. He's willing to do whatever he can to protect her. Char is one of the first few new characters we meet, and she's a little girl on the run from the Yakuza, and at first she's afraid of saying why, but we find out it's because that she's from a bloodline with regenerative powers. Her powers are so potent that they can cut off her limbs and they pretty much just grow back instantly, and because of this, her life has been hell. She can't be more than like 8 years old, and she's already witnessed her mom's murder and endured hellish torture. I think I'd like it if she went through some sort of training and became a young sorcerer a little later on, since it seems like she's kind of interested in that, and she can't expect to be protected for her entire life, so I'd love to see her become more capable. The bad guys want to make use of her regenerative abilities for some reason that I'll go over later, but she's a sweet kid and honestly the first thing that I really enjoyed about the series, so more Char would be great with me. I'd love that. Next up is Sojo. the main antagonist so far, and he's a big shot in the underworld, someone able to put hits out on people and has one of the stolen enchanted blades that's called Cloud Gouger, which is a cool ass name. The sword basically has abilities tied to different forms of precipitation, Yui being an ice attack that he uses for both attack and defense, Ko being an attack that creates water used to disorient and cloak as needed, which I'm assuming works like Nishiki since cloaking is also what Chihiro says Nishiki does. The final attack for Cloud Gouger is a vicious lightning ability called Mei, and it's something that kind of works like Solar Beam in Pokemon. There's an amount of time that has to be spent charging up before you can unleash Mei, and then afterwards there's a cooldown of about 10 to 20 seconds. Of course, like I said, it's similar to Solar Beam, and so if he uses Ko right before to create water, he can let off a less powerful lightning attack quickly without having to charge, but he still needs a break after that. Sojo himself is obsessed with Chihiro's father and his enchanted blades and clashes with Chihiro in ideals and in what they believe Kunishige, which is Chihiro's father's name, what Kunishige wanted when he created the blades. Chihiro believes in what his father taught him, which was that the sword should only be wielded by someone who is willing to take a life but only to protect the weak. Sojo believes otherwise and finds that line of thinking boring, saying of course these tools were meant to be destructive and used to viciously kill people. If you've only read the series week to week so far like I have, it's easy to forget that Sojo himself isn't the top dog. He reports to higher ups in their sorcerer faction called the Hishaku. He also has a few goals that we know of, such as fighting and taking Chihiro's blade. He does put up another of Kunishige's stolen katana up for auction, which raises massive red flags for the good guys. Sojo is certainly a villain without redeeming qualities, which works well for a series where the main character is seeking revenge, but his on-screen crimes will put him in conversation for being a good villain if the series lasts long enough and he isn't killed right away. Even if he were to say it's just for the sake of research, he's also the one behind the torture happening to Char, cutting off pieces of her body to try and stabilize a raw material used to make the enchanted blade. It looks like he's come to possess more of this material and is conducting these experiments because its unstable nature causes there to be major backlash when using weapons created with it. So he uses Char's powers in some way to craft weapons with them and then loan these experimental weapons out to lower level gangs, which we learn come with the side effect of destroying the user. So he's trying to perfect the crafting of making these new weapons. I didn't really care for Mr. Shiba at first because he was kind of a goofball, but now I see that he's actually a big shot too. He grew up with Chihiro's dad and another guy named Azumi, and at least right now it looks like Chihiro's dad might have not been the same as them. They were probably more combative, but he was just a blacksmith guy, so I'll say maybe he wasn't in the same league, but I don't want to undercut the dad. But Azumi and Shiba were both members of basically this universe's version of the sorcerer government called the Kumanabi. Shiba's incredibly powerful, even though he jokes a lot and is only shown the ability to teleport, but he's seen as equally dangerous as Azumi, who is shown taking down several assassins that are after Chihiro without using any sorcery. Azumi shows up because the higher-ups want to see Mr. Shiba to find out why the antagonist group has put a hit out on Chihiro and a little girl that they're protecting from the Yakuza. Azumi seems like a good guy since he says he won't tell the higher-ups about Chihiro's sword, but warns them that they're supposed to be keeping a low profile. This tells me that sooner or later we could see an event where the government decides to try and capture Chihiro and take his sword or worse, but for now, Azumi is down with letting Chihiro be free. As of the moment, Azumi is assigned a squad of 6 guys to take down Sojo while Chihiro is free to find Char. Each of the members of this squad have different unique sorcerer abilities, and I think that the fight they have with Sojo is where the series really shines. Showing off their different attacks and attributes can be used in unison to take down one of these super powerful sorcerer blades, but that really brings me to my favorite part so far about the story, and that's that for the first time in my memory, the main character is the one who is the most educated on the power system, or at least in this case, the enchanted blades. Chihiro got to work with his dad, making swords and researching what they all did and stuff, so when he fights Sojo, he knows exactly what Cloud Gouger does and what it's capable of. He knows its strengths, its weaknesses, and can form a complete strategy around how to defeat its user, while the user, in this case being Sojo, is still basically trying to learn its full capabilities on the fly. He has to take this sword out on test runs and see all that it can do, while people he fights are either Chihiro, who knows the weapon inside and out, or the Manabi, the group sent to kill Sojo that were told exactly how to defeat Cloud Gouger. I'm sure you could probably think of more examples from other manga, but right now I'm kind of drawing a blank, and I think that it's really cool along with Chihiro's sense of justice, not just revenge, but also wanting to protect Char and keep his father's swords out of the hands of people who would use them to bring harm to innocent lives. There are a few things I'm looking forward to, like what the next evolution of the blades is that they speak of and what other sorcerer blades will be able to do. I really want to see if Chihiro will wield multiple swords when he collects them, like will he bring N10 and Cloud Gouger with him to fight, or will will he just pick one and leave the other one, or others, somewhere safely guarded? Will Sojo raise in rank and become a bigger, long-time antagonist, or will he die soon? And what will happen when more people besides Sojo and Chihiro's gang finds out about his 7th enchanted blade that shouldn't exist? All this to say that I don't really have anything bad to say about KaguraBachi. At first the memes were just unfunny, but now that phase is over and we can really see what this series is cooking. And at Jump Festa they mentioned how they heard it was incredibly popular over in the West, so I'm happy that, you know, they heard about that and they know that people like it over here, and I really hope that it doesn't get axed. If you made it this far, thank you once again. I gotta say big thanks to my supporters. My last video blew away all my expectations, and I hope my future videos continue on that trend. I'd appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribed, and don't forget to leave a comment. Like I said before, I'll pick my favorite comment and post it in my community tab a few days later, so let's see how that goes. Hope you have a good one. See you next time.